All right, it's time to rock and roll and get into this episode of the RR Show. We're going to be doing 4 stories. They're all going to be coming from these 3 subreddits. r/IDOWORKHERELADY, r/boomers being fools, and then r/IDON'TWORKHERELADY. So this will be fun. What do you say we jump into this episode of the RR Show with me, Vince, right now? Our first story comes from r/IDOWORKHERELADY, posted by user Shuriken Kunai. First day is always fun. I'm a substitute teacher in the state of Florida. I have been for about 3 years now come November. And this is my 4th school year. I'm starting this August. It's fun work, and it's only on weekdays, so it's a hell of a lot better than any of the retail or food service jobs in town. There's just a few things that mess with the job. The state of Florida doesn't require substitute teachers to have any college degree or any actual training before coming to work. You just need a high school diploma. I took this job when I was only 19 after getting out of Burger King. This leads to some fun interactions. My favorite is probably my story from my first day. I was at the high school and I was given a class that had 7th period planning. My school breaks its periods into 7 classes, and the 7th period goes from 1:50 to 2:40, which is at the end of the school day. If you have 7th period planning as a sub, you really can just leave and not have any problems as long as you turn in the attendance sheets. I did not know this on my first day, so I called my boss and she told me the information above. So I just left. However, I was still new to the building and I went out the wrong door. It was still light outside, so I figured I'd round the school and walk that way. And then I hear it. Child! A teacher or another staff member had seen me from across the parking lot and thought I was a student. To be fair, I'd only graduated high school 2 years ago at this point. Yeah? Where are you going? Home. And then she says this. Do you have permission from your parents? I'm confused as hell at this point, so I just called back, no, I work here. She laughed, I laughed, and I was able to get home just fine. It was not the last time, of course. Just last year, after 3 years of working at this school, the principal refused to let me use the bathroom in the hallway since she thought I was a student and it was test day. But each time, it's the funniest thing ever, and honestly, I would not trade this job for the world. Okay, I take that back. I would 100% swap to being a librarian if I could get a job as one, but this is fun anyway. Our second story also comes from r/IDOWORKHERELADY from user Frimondius. Actually, I do work here. I've worked retail for the past 5 or so years, and I have a resting, helpful face. So a lot of people pick up on my vibes and ask for help no matter where I am, working or not. It's usually not a problem, and more often than not, they just need a tall person to get something off of a high shelf, so I don't mind it that much. Even when I'm doing tasks out of uniform at work, it's very common for people to clock me and ask for help. It's rare for someone to assume I'm just another customer. Before the pandemic, I was working at a certain hardware store with an orange uniform. I did order fulfillment, so I specifically did not wear the uniform to avoid customers stopping me and asking me questions as we had a limited amount of time to fulfill orders, though I was still carrying the official work store gloves, tape, measure, scanner. I had a small printer hanging from my belt, and in this store, I was pushing a particular type of cart that most customers don't use. Anybody who looked close enough could tell I worked there, and plenty of people would ask for my help. One day, this guy notices me from down the aisle, and I make that sort of polite eye contact that usually says, I'm not going to approach you, but if you approach me, I'm obligated to help. He walks over, and I'm expecting him to ask for directions or help unlocking a product, but instead he says something like, "Hey man, want some," insert hardware store here, "gift cards?" Folks, he was either trying to sell a faked gift card, offload a gift card he already spent, or he was doing some weird fraud thing. I took a beat to process this and said, "I work here, sir." He gave me a bit of a deer in the headlights look and walked away quickly. He kept looking over his shoulder and almost tripped over some product, and I'm pretty sure he left the building as soon as possible. I let our accounts payable guy know about it and carried on. I still find it funny that of all the people he could have asked, he tried me. That's one of the few times I was ever actually mistaken for a customer at that store. Our third story is coming from r/boomers being fools, posted by user Forever Roach. Not understanding how things work, rude. And I've been coming here for 15 years. Short backstory. I'm waiting in the drive-thru line at Walgreens. It was a long line, and I finally got to the front, gave my info, and was waiting for them to come back with my meds. I know one of them will require my ID and driver's license. Boomer behind me gets out of his car and walks up to the window. I always try to get as close as I can to make it easy for them to reach over. So he's right next to my car. He first tries shouting to the staff through the glass about whatever he needs, his ID to get his meds, but no one is there at the moment, let alone on the phone. He pushes the call button and is waiting for an answer. He hadn't and doesn't later acknowledge me at all. No excuse or apology, and he's making these weird guttural sounds while he's waiting. Normally, I like to try and be helpful and wanted to say you might depending on the meds, but he was giving me weird vibes, and I didn't want to try to explain these things to this weirdo, especially since it could be about a med I don't know, which would make the effort pointless. So I roll my window almost all the way up, leaving just a crack so I can hear what's going on and know when the person comes back with my meds. Someone answers after a minute, but didn't come up to the window so you couldn't see them. Boomer is still shouting. You know their phone's on speaker, they're holding it up to their face, and they're still talking very loudly, as if you can't hear them otherwise type of shouting energy. He's asking if he needs his ID because he forgot his driver's license. I mentioned we're in a drive-thru, right? Guy who answered the phone didn't really answer the boomer, and the lady who went to get my meds came back. She tells him, yes, you need an ID, and he gets a bit belligerent, saying, so the 15 years I've been coming here means nothing? This is a waste of my time, and goes back to his car. The guy honks as if I can or will move my car before I even get my meds. Maybe it was just an angry honk because he only did it once. So he's stuck behind me for the moment, LOL. The lady said, wait, I thought he was with you. LMAO. So she answered him as if he was there for my meds, which do require ID. I kindly let her know he's not, and I have my ID ready. All he had to do was wait a little longer to get an accurate answer since he was next and already waited a while. Also, after 15 years, you can't remember to bring your ID just in case you forget your driver's license, which you should have when you're driving? This man could be the representative of the me generation. Our fourth and final story is coming from r/IDOWORKHERELADY, posted by user Maven Black. Fired from a Walgreens I never worked at. In fact, I've never worked at any Walgreens. So this was some 10 years ago, and while the conversation is paraphrased, I remember it like it was yesterday. So, background. At the time, I was working Grave and Swing as a casinos player host in Reno, Nevada. For those who don't know what this job is, we take care of the high rollers. We make sure they get comps, dining, and hotel reservations, and get invites to tournaments, limo rides, you name it. I wore a nice black blazer with a name tag, slacks, comfortable but professional shoes, hair, and makeup done. The days I worked swing, I was off at 3 a.m., but after waiting for the bus and the ride home, I would make it to my place at about 5 a.m. Directly across the street from my home was a Walgreens. I stopped in a lot of mornings to grab a protein shake, pick up prescriptions, etc. But on Wednesday mornings, they put out a lot of clearance items. You could snag small appliances dirt cheap. So I was always there on Wednesdays stocking up on Christmas and birthday presents, etc. The employees and managers knew me by sight and some by name. I was usually a zombie after work. I think like most people, LOL. And this Wednesday was no different. I was looking over the latest selection, trying to decide if I needed a new coffee maker or just wanted one because it was clearance for like $5. A woman was next to me speaking Tagalog into her phone. I don't speak it, but Reno has a pretty large Filipino community, so I could at least recognize it. Her language is not important to the story. It just struck me how odd the little things that we remember are. She finished her conversation, looked at me, and said, "Can I get a discount on this?" I don't remember what this was, some small appliance. "The box is smashed up." "No idea," I told her, but I would ask to plug it in to test it before I bought it if the box is damaged. I have no idea if anyone can actually do that, but it seemed reasonable to me. "Why would you sell something that doesn't work?" she demanded. I had no idea at this point she thought I worked there. I thought she was making conversation. In my defense, I was half asleep and just wanted a good deal on a damned stick blender. Oh, I told her I absolutely would not sell it, but I'm not in the business of selling things anyway. "Oh, so you're too good and important to sell things that is just for the low employees?" I finally looked at her. Until then, I was pretty focused on staying awake. I could see she was getting angry. It dawned on me that I still had my name tag on. I slipped it off. They're the kind with magnets, not pins, and stuck it in my pocket. "Oh, sorry, I forgot to take this off. I started to say I don't work there. But she was having none of that. "Oh, you think you're too good to help me just because I'm Filipina?" She may have said Filipino, I confess. I don't know which is correct. I'm only going off memory. "My money is good." She said something in Tagalog that did not sound flattering. "You think you can trick me, taking off your name tag?" I just sighed. "I don't want your money. I don't work here. I am just shopping. Please leave me alone." She ignored everything I said and just said, "Oh, you won't be getting my money because you need to give me this free for not helping me." "Ma'am," I tried to reason with her. "I can't give you that. I really don't work here. If you take it without paying, that is stealing." "Oh, now, so you think I'm poor and a thief?" WTF, where did poor come from? "I want to talk to the manager of the whole store." "Lady," I turned back to the shelf, "I wish you would effing talk to anyone but me." I didn't swear because I was angry. I just have a potty mouth. She stomped off, her heels making that little tick, 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 tick sounds on the linoleum. I decided I did need another coffee maker and that stick blender. As I was putting both in my cart, I hear tick, 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 tick. Great. She's back. But she's not alone. Tom, the store manager, was with her. "There she is," the woman shrieked. "She called me poor and a thief, and she swore at me. I want you to fire her and make her poor." Weird obsession with poverty. Tom looked at me confused. "What's happening?" I grinned, held up my coffee maker. "Shopping." Tom was even more confused. "But why are you insulting her and swearing?" She thinks I work here and wanted me to let her steal an appliance. Okay, I know a bit of an exaggeration, but she started it. This was the moment that her medication stopped working. In a very loud mix of English and Tagalog, she shrieked out our entire interaction. Surprisingly, she told it correctly too, except that I didn't put my name tag away to trick her. Tom was done at this point. He looked at me and said, "You're fired." The woman grinned maliciously at me, grabbed her smashed up box and stormed off with Tom as I shrugged and made my way over to the allergy medication. or some other area of the store. I don't 100% remember, but I have terrible allergies, so that seemed likely. At the register, Tom asked me about what really happened. I told him everything, including how I told her I wish she'd effing talk to anyone else but me. Tom laughed and told me I was still fired. Yay, I grinned. Do I get a severance package? Tom laughed harder. To be fair, you did swear at her. Plus, you don't actually work here, so no severance package. That's it. I shopped there for many years before I moved. I never saw her again, so I'm sure she went on content with getting me fired and making me poor. So thanks for being with us. The RR Show is a production of Evergreen Podcasts and Wessler Media. Now, if you'd be so kind, please follow or subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're feeling extra nice, you might as well leave a 5-star review. But for more, visit the website, rrshow.com. That is rrshow.com. I'm your host, Vince, and we'll see you next time here on The RR Show.